President Bola Tinubu has bestowed national honors of Commander of the Order of the Niger on Professor Mahmood Yakubu as he steps down as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) following the expiration of his second term in office. Professor Yakubu was first appointed in November 2015 as the 14th chairman of the commission for an initial term of 5 years. President Tinubu thanked Professor Yakubu for his services to the nation and his efforts to sustain Nigeria's democracy, particularly through the organization of free and fair elections throughout his two-term tenure. Earlier today, Professor Yakubu handed over to May Agbamuchembu as acting chairman of the commission. Senior reporter Ademola Lawrence has details.
This exit marks the end of a decade-long leadership spanning 2 full 5-year terms, the maximum allowed by the Constitution. His second and final term officially expires in November 2025. During his tenure, Professor Yakubu supervised 2 general elections in 2019 and 2023 and numerous off-cycle governorship polls across the country. His leadership was notable for introducing technology-driven reforms such as Beavers and the IRE portal, both aimed at improving transparency and public confidence in Nigeria's electoral process. Stepping into the role in acting capacity is May Agbamuchembu, a seasoned legal practitioner and national commissioner at INEC. Currently heads the Commission's Legal Services, Clearance and Complaints Committee and will now oversee the Commission's affairs pending further directives from the Presidency.
To express my gratitude to God Almighty for His divine grace and to appreciate the Honorable former Chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, for giving me the opportunity to serve as acting Chairman of INEC. I'm deeply humbled and honored. We assure you that the Commission will do our very best to maintain and uphold the standards you have set. We will continue from where you stopped. We acknowledge the significant contributions and achievements made by Professor Mahmood Yakubu.
Professor Yakubu made the announcement during a meeting with resident electoral commissioners in Abuja. He explained that his decision aligns with constitutional provisions and ensures a smooth transition in leadership.
Having been privileged to serve the Commission for 10 years, with only a few more weeks to serve, I have taken a decision and conveyed same as provided by Section 306, subsections 1 and 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. In the interim, I am handing over to one of the most senior national commissioners by date of appointment.
In an emotional farewell, the outgoing chairman expressed deep appreciation to INEC staff and resident electoral commissioners nationwide for their commitment, professionalism, and resilience. He urged them to remain steadfast in defending the integrity of Nigeria's democracy.
All that remains at this point is for me to pray that God may continue to bless our country and our democracy.
Professor Yakubu's departure opens a new chapter for the electoral body as Agbamuchembu takes over in an acting capacity to steer INEC through upcoming off-cycle elections and early preparations ahead of 2027. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News, Abuja.
Now, here is what we know about the career of former INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu. Emmanuel Ajayi takes us through it.
Professor Mahmood Yakubu was born May 1962 in Bauchi State. He attended Teachers College, Toro, Bauchi State from 1975 to 1980, obtained a first-class degree in history from 1980 to 1985. The first student from northern Nigeria to graduate with a first class in history, master's degree in international relations in 1987 from Wilson College, Cambridge, doctorate degree in Nigerian history from the University of Oxford in 1991. Professor Mahmood Yakubu began his academic career as a graduate assistant at the University of Jos in 1986, from where he proceeded to the United Kingdom for his postgraduate studies. He returned to the university in 1992 as Lecturer 1, Dean Faculty of Art and Science for the second time from 2002 to 2004. The Chairman Management Board of Staff School from 2004 to 2006. the Pioneer Dean Postgraduate School from 2004 to 2006, he has more than 50 publications to his credit. From 2006 to 2007, Professor Yakubu was the tax team leader responsible for the tertiary education at the Federal Ministry of Education and a member of the Presidential Technical Committee for the Consolidation of Federal Tertiary Institutions. In 2007, he was appointed as the Executive Secretary of the Education Trust Fund, a recipient of Overseas Research Scholarship. He won the Commonwealth Scholarship from Association of Commonwealth University. He was the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission from 2015 to 2025. After 10 years. Emmanuel Ajayi, TVC News, Lagos.
Gabriel Nwambo is Director General, Center for Credible Leadership and Citizens Awareness. He joins me live for more on this stepping down of Professor Mahmood Yakubu. Good to have you join us. Professor Yakubu stepping down after 2 terms as INEC chairman. What do you consider the highs and lows of his leadership?
Thank you so much for having me. Good evening. Professor Mahmood Yakubu, who assumed position as the INEC chairman in 2015, as was appointed by the late Muhammadu Buhari, who was then president, in November 2015, assumed leadership of the Independent National Electoral Commission, taking over from Professor Jega. One of the main heights of Mahmood's achievement, Professor Mahmood's achievement, is the technical integration of what we will call, he brought in a critical, electoral technology into the Nigerian electoral system. He tried to optimize the use of technology as it affects elections in Nigeria. First of all, he did the introduction of the BVAS technology, that is, the bimodal voter accreditation system, which is an improvement from what Professor Atahiru Jega, introduced, which was the card reader. Now, with the BVAS, you are able to authenticate accreditation for voters, using the fingerprint and using the facial capture also. So it becomes more credible. He tried as much as possible to bring in credibility into the system. Again, Professor Mahmood Yakubu introduced what is called the IREV, that is the INEC Results Viewing Portal, for which, from the polling unit level, that is from the ECHA polling unit level, the result sheets, could be uploaded by the presiding officers, real time, into the IREV. And then, electorates and Nigerians are able to view this result and then make comparative analysis.
Indeed, Dr. Gabriel. Dr. Gabriel, we really do not have
transparency
if you can hear
into
me,
the system.
Dr. Nwambo Gabriel, we really do not have a lot of time to go into the details, so I would just really appreciate if you could then quickly touch on what you consider the lows, and then we can quickly attend to some other questions.
Yeah, well, Professor Mahmood he did his best, but there are still room for improvement, because where he met INEC was not what it ought to be. As it affects training and retraining of INEC officials, we didn't see much of the training and retraining of INEC officials. But however, he was also supposed to have dived in more in terms of the welfare of INEC officials. We had INEC officials that were supposed to, or that were found guilty by courts of competent jurisdiction on basis of corruption, compromise of the electoral system in Nigeria. We opine, therefore, that if the welfare package of the staff of INEC was a lot more better. Most of them wouldn't have compromised in terms of manipulation of the electoral system. So I think he did very well. He has played his part, but there is still room for improvement. But generally speaking, Professor Mahmood Yakubu is a scholar that has performed creditably well in Nigeria's electoral system.
Director General, Center for Credible Leadership and Citizens Awareness, Dr. Nwamba Gabriel, thank you so much for your time on TVC News at 10.
Thanks for having me. Good evening.